product provided by Nintendo. To describe Metroid Dread is to describe an experience, a journey that you've been patiently waiting to make, but Nintendo didn't want to give you. So when the game was announced in June 2021, the overwhelming joy from Metroid fans was felt across the internet. But why? Since it has been 19 years since Fusion, which gave us the last Metroid lore puzzle in 2D. Now this comes all together in the final journey of the current timeline, Metroid Dread. Obviously, we could say the game is great and end the review right away. That isn't really fun now, is it? Anyway, here we go with our compact, yet brutally honest review. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press that notification bell. In Metroid Dread, Samus travels to the planet ZDR, where strange things are afoot. After being notified by the Galactic Federation that the X-Parasite might have returned, our favorite bounty hunter is determined to find out what's wrong. Quickly, the events pile on top of one another with no end to the trouble. Samus gets attacked by a vile Chozo, loses most of her powers, and has to find her way back to the top of the planet. To make matters worse, the Emmy robots supplied by the Federation have gone on and flipped sides. Samus gets attacked every chance the robots see fit, and avoiding them proves an obstacle altogether. And this time, Samus will really need your help to get through these rough spots, because otherwise, well, let's not think about that. The story holds some absolute high points, but we don't feel comfortable talking about them. With Nintendo seemingly spoiling so much, you're way better off not knowing more than the short summary we just gave you. Since the characterization of Samus, the Chozos as the civilization, and your direct opponents is nicely told. There are cutscenes, while at other moments your board computer Adam will keep you notified of important details. Metroid Dread never tries to overload the player with information, as abilities, gameplay segments, and important details follow each up quite rapidly. The game wants to give enough time to adjust before thrusting you in a different and even more complex situation. Metroid Dread can be best split up in 3 slices that make up its part: exploration mixed with action, the dreadful Emmy segments, and the game's various boss battles. The majority will be spent on the exploration, with a slice of action on the side. From early goings, players are tasked with making the most of their surroundings and finding the path forward. If you've played any Metroidvania before, this will feel right at home, with all the bells and whistles you've come to accept. Hidden paths that can be found by using your skills, quick and snappy enemy encounters, and problems that can be quickly solved by observing. At all times, players are encouraged to keep looking around, as that is truly the way to get ahead. It is delightful to be rewarded for your effort, which is something Mercury's team has perfectly nailed down. Players who played the Metroid games before will adore the flow of the game. Just like Fusion, the game offers plenty of wide areas that require multiple visits to complete. Initially, as you have a limited moveset, you can only go through a set path and finish up point A to B. This perspective changes as you receive notable options to see these walled up spaces, and will bring you to portals or different entranceways, allowing you another step forward in the endless dread to survive. Your horizons slowly expand as you find your way towards bosses, additional upgrades, or your way further up to the surface of the planet ZDR. At the same time, we have to advise that with newer players or players new to this genre, is that they are very likely to hit a brick wall fast. Outside of the tutorials, there's little in the way of handholding, which is important to keep in mind before buying this game. The same way, Samus' moveset in Metroid Dread is made with the fan in mind. Once again, we don't feel like spoiling every single possibility, but the new spider magnet climbing adds so much to the game. Not only can you roam around more freely, it is also terrific when you combine it with other options. For example, with the Phantom Cloak, which allows you to avoid being hit by those evil Emmy robots altogether. Another way is that you can quickly scale the walls by using the grappling hook once you get it in your arsenal. One more favorite, the flash shift. This allows you to shift around terrains, which can be handy for environments that close once you touch a certain spot. Using this later on becomes tricky, as you need to combine it with a precise jump. It is all about the feel. Even in the standard set of moves, which you have from the beginning, there's a lot to love about Metroid Dread. There's a new sliding mechanic, which allows you to move quickly past smaller low gaps. And in combination with shooting blocks, this can be a handy tool to move past enemies, particularly the Emmys. Obviously, the melee counter from Metroid Samus Returns makes a comeback as well. And throughout our playthrough, we found out that you have to rely a lot on this mechanic throughout almost the entire game. From Emmys to a basic opponent, the counter feels like a get out of jail safety card. To be fair here, the mechanic is hard to pull off with the Emmy, as you only get one chance per life to do it correctly. This brings up the harshest element of the entire experience, the Emmys. These foul robots have been turned evil. and there's almost nothing to stop them. As we've mentioned, it is possible to stun them, but good luck. The timing is harsh, the window is small, and you can't screw it up once you are caught. And what doesn't help the matters is that the enemy will become progressively harsher to deal with. The enemies will receive extra attacks that you just have to sit there and take. Some players will easily manage to avoid them, but environments can be deceiving and you need to know at all times where you're going. In other words, Dread is a great way to describe the way you feel, and yes, these moments are absolutely thrilling. There's even a second phase with a special weaponry that you have to perfect, so we can't blame others for feeling overwhelmed. Something with major lasers and shooting the enemy robots before they reach you. Overall though, it is an intriguing challenge. Finally, we have the bosses. Once again, we'll limit ourselves in what we are discussing. The first boss, Corpius, were really set up for things to come later on. A giant alien scorpion that uses its tail and body slams to get exactly what it wants, destroying Samus. Right from the get-go, you'll have to deal with multiple phases with very little to go on. The player has to figure out the patterns and how to strike all by themselves. The bosses in themselves feel like puzzles that you need to solve, with all the frustrating and aha moments that come alongside it. In Corpius' case, you will have to slide and hang to create different openings to get some hits in. Players might get more luck if they use missiles, but remember that ammo is rather limited. With every boss, there are different ways to overcome them, but you should never linger too much on the solution. The quickest way is usually the most effective way. So that is all that matters in the gameplay end. In general, it is impressive how well Metroid Dread manages to hit the balance of challenge and frustration. We can't deny that newer players might struggle a lot more, as it explains very little outside of the tutorial screens. And as such, Metroid Dread might not be the best entry point for people unfamiliar with the Metroid franchise. With that being said, there was a constant joyous smile on our faces as we went from screen to screen and figured things out. There was a good feeling in our minds when you got the job done, no matter if it was a boss or a rather hidden object. The pure exploration factor made every moment feel special, as every area in the game is unique, with each offering a new biodome with its own bag of trickery. When Metroid Dread hits the center of your brain, there's nothing else like it. After Fusion, this is clearly the type of experience we've been missing on many handhelds and consoles alike. It is simply extremely fun. What helps in this regard is that the presentation is great. The various tunes make the scenes stand out more and are part of a grander universe. When an enemy chases you, they make it sound like a proper big deal. Ominous parts are extremely light on instrumentation, preparing you for an unknown battle to come. Once the battle hits, the visuals are the only thing that matches. With that being said, the cutscenes look fantastic, and is a breath of fresh air that can mostly be felt while playing. The game plays perfectly on the Nintendo Switch, with rich backgrounds and characters giving it all, namely passion. After Samus returns, it is clear that Mercury's team took the lessons they learned and applied them everywhere, and the beautiful colors make it perfectly suited to play on your brand new Nintendo Switch OLED model. No doubt, with this game, your eyes will be kept glued to the screen for about give or take it 8 to 9 hours, depending on your skills. Metroid Dread Beep rocks, and we really enjoyed it. That doesn't mean that the game is for everyone. There's a lot of use given to the melee counter, and newcomers will likely be left confused on what to do sometimes. In general though, gameplay is smooth, and the experience is simply worth having. Most players will likely go for that one run and feel completely satisfied, but there's a lot of love given for the people who do it all. Who knows, you might get a hint of where Metroid's future will lead you. Whatever form your journey will take you, it is important to remember one thing: stay one step ahead of the enemy robots at all time. They are relentless beings for sure. Plus sometimes, just stop and look around. Your next surprise might be just past that suspicious looking spot. Come on, give it a go. And with that in mind, our final score for Metroid Dread is... In other words, Metroid Dread is the best game we ever reviewed here on the Commonwealth Realm so far this year, and the best new Nintendo game we have played since 2019, meaning that it could definitely end up as our game of the year, as this brand new Metroid game and sequel to Fusion is a glowing beacon of light in a sea of remakes remasters. Thank you so much for watching this brutally honest review of Metroid Dread. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like if you haven't already, and the same goes for subscribing and pressing that notification bell, and again for all notifications, as more Metroid videos are on the way. Finally, a big thanks goes to Nintendo for providing the game, and to all our great patreon.com/CommonRealm patrons, and in particular to our royal producer Charles Shash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.